This might be the most important sports betting video that you ever watch. I'm going to explain to you guys what actually separates winning sports bettors from people that just keep going broke and losing all of their money. Because it is one of the most important things that most sports bettors just can't break. And gamblers, they just can't break the mentality of what I'm about to show you. And I'm going to use some good examples as well to break it down for you, so that way you understand exactly how important this key step is to being successful when it comes to sports betting. So let's talk about money, okay? One of the most important things, right? You need money to be able to bet. You're not going to make anything if you don't have it, right? But let's talk about this guy for a sec. Let's say Joe, all right? Joe, what does he do? He wants to be a sports bettor. He wants to make money sports betting, right? So he puts $1,000 for sports betting. All right, this is his bankroll. Now, Joe doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's getting into sports betting. Well, he starts to lose some of his bankroll. All right, so after 1 week, he's down to, let's say, $700. All right, so he's already lost $300. Now, let's talk about Joe not in sports betting, okay? And every gambler has been here before, so you guys will definitely relate to exactly what I'm showing you here. Joe, let's say he goes out to eat, okay? He went to go eat. The bill comes to $120. What happens here? He gets pissed off, all right? He's angry that he has to spend $120 to go out to eat. What does he do entail with that? He tells whoever he's going out to eat with, guess what? We're probably not going to do this anymore. All right, we're not going to go out and eat. Why? Because he lost $300 in that week, so he's feeling down. He doesn't want to go spend money on something to eat. Okay? Now, let's flip it. Let's flip it here. Okay? Let's go ahead and say that Joe started out with a $1,000 bankroll. At the end of 1 week, he ends up with $1,200. Now what happens over here? Now, Joe goes out to eat. He spends $150. What happens? He's happy. Why is he happy? Because he made money, right? So he let what happened in his bankroll and his sports betting dictate how he feels on a daily basis of what he does. This right here, this rotation of what I'm showing you, is what ruins people's lives. It will ruin people's lives because the mentality and the emotion that you put into that. So many people's emotion dictates exactly how they are going to react with their sports bets, with their gambling, and put that into their everyday life. So, if you've grown up around people that gamble, around people that play cards and do all that, guess what happens? The same thing I just showed you of what Joe does. All right? They go out to eat. They're happy because they won money. They lose money. They want to stay home. They want to cook food. They want to eat ramen because they went and lost their money. Okay? That example that I just showed you guys, where he lost $300 and didn't want to go out to eat, instead was like, no, we're not going to do that. You have to understand, he was willing to spend $300 just throwing it away and giving it to the sports book, but doesn't want to go out to eat for half that price. Okay? That mentality needs to switch. You cannot get stuck in that type of mentality, because that type of mentality will ruin your lives and is what separates the gambler, the sports bettor, from their family, their wives, their kids. That is what separates both, because your attitude dictates whether you're winning or losing, and that reflects to your family, your friends. Okay? You have to understand that when it comes down to emotion and dictating whether you can do this correctly or not, you have to use that opposite switch here. Okay? If you're willing to go and spend $300, $400, $500 on ill-advised bets because you have no idea what you're doing and you just want to be entertained and you're just betting $300, $400, $500 for no reason, you should have no problem spending $500 in a meal. All right? Should have no issue with that. You should be completely happy to be like, oh, Oh, I'm willing to throw $500 away for absolutely nothing. But if I'm going to eat, well, at least I got something for that. So you have to switch that mentality. If you don't switch that mentality, like I said, it will ruin your life. Okay? It ruins people's lives day in and day out. This is where the gambling addiction sets in, and people have a problem with spending money. They'll complain about a $20 hamburger, but they'll go and bet $200 on a game that they know nothing about, and then they just donate that to the sports book. The reason why is because the mentality is, they're thinking, well, if I spend $20 on this hamburger, I'm not getting anything back, right? There's nothing I'm getting back from that. Well, if I go spend $200 on this bet, I might win money. I might get something back. The emotion kicks in. That's a gambler's mentality, okay? A gambler's mentality that could put you in a pit where you cannot get out of. And you end up losing all of your money. You end up losing your family, your friends, everything. You have to switch your mentality. The mentality needs to switch. It needs to be the opposite. If you're willing to blow money ill-advised on sports bets, guess what? You should be willing to spend money on things that have nothing to do with sports betting. There should be no emotion that goes into that. Your emotion should not dictate on a daily basis whether you're winning or losing. It shouldn't be like that. Now, investors, people that are investing money, they don't sit there and emotion does not dictate whether they've made money in their investment on a daily basis or not. Okay, investment-wise, people dictate how they feel within years. Okay, somebody invests in the stock market, and over the course of an entire year, they lose 5%. Guess what? They're not freaking out and selling things that they have or anything like that. They're not doing that. Okay, they're just realizing that it is what it is. I'm just going to stay the course, and I'm going to ride it out. That's the simplest way to put it for you guys. You have to change your mindset to think investment-wise instead of gambling. So many people want to get into this game, but you've got no money. You cannot get into the game if you have no money. It's not going to happen. You have a couple $100, $200, $300, $400. That's not money to invest. So many people want to come to me and ask, oh, if I start with $1,000, what can I do? Yes, you can. You can start with $1,000, but you have to have the strong mentality to understand that you're making little bits of increments of money, okay, that are trying to stack to your bankroll. You have to withstand that. You can't get greedy. You can't think that, oh, maybe I should just put half my bankroll on a game because this looks like a lock, something like that. No, that's not what you do. That's the recipe for disaster because that is gambling. Investing is, if I have $1,000 bankroll, well, guess what? I understand that I'm probably only going to make a couple $100, maybe $300, $400 throughout the whole entire year if I do this the correct way. That's what investing is. Because if you take $1,000, put it in the stock market, you're only going to make $100, $200 over the course of an entire year. That is realistic gains. Gamblers come into it are like, I got $500, I'm looking to make $500 and have $1,000. For what? That still ain't going to get you anywhere in life. Doesn't change anything. You need to understand that if you're not willing to spend money the correct way, then you don't deserve to be in this game. It will eat you up. All these sports books are making billions upon billions of dollars from all the sad people that are out there that think they can turn a couple bucks into thousands of dollars. And even if somehow they end up doing that, what happens is they're hooked. Hook, line, and sinker. They're done. Even if they've spent $20 and they hit a parlay for $500, $1,000, they're done. They're going to keep hammering that, trying to get that feeling back, trying to do that. Sportsbooks know this. All the gambling establishments know this. So what happens? They end up giving everything back that they won that one time. Then they're in the hole chasing that feeling over and over and over. Now, we're going to hop over the whiteboard. I'm going to show you guys another example of how you need to switch your mindset as well when it comes to sports betting. Because if you don't understand this key concept, you're doomed. Okay, you're doomed. It's just straight up. You're doomed. And I know because I've worked with thousands of people. So let's hop over. Let me explain this little story to you guys. All right, so we're going to split this up into two people now. We got Joe here. All right, we're going to go back to Joe. But then we got Don over here. All right, got Joe and Don. So Joe, let's say they're both farmers. All right, we're going to say they're both farmers. Now, Joe wants to grow potatoes. All right? He wants to grow potatoes. And guess what? Don, owns a potato farm. All right, so Joe has aspirations. He's a farmer, but he wants to grow potatoes. Doesn't know how to grow potatoes, though. Don over here is a farmer and owns a potato farm. So what does Joe do here? All right, so Joe talks to Don the one day. All right, they conversate one day, and Don says to Joe, "Hey, I heard you want to start a potato farm. All right, so I already own a couple of them. I've already did this. I built it from the ground up. I know you want to start. Well, guess what? I could show you exactly how to do that, but it's going to cost you money, obviously. I'm not going to do it for free, right? So let's say Don says to Joe, you give me $3,000, and guess what? I'll show you how to own a potato farm. What does Joe say here? Okay, Joe says, $3,000, like, I don't know, man. That's a lot of money. A lot of money for me to spend to learn how to do this the correct way. I don't know if I should do that. I think I'm just going to try to figure it out on my own. All right, so what does Joe do? He goes and he spends his money, buys seeds, buys all the stuff that he needs. All right, all the stuff that he needs. All the miscellaneous stuff. Let's just put miscellaneous down. All right, he spends $4K on all this material that he needs, the seeds and everything like that. So let's go through an entire couple months here of what happens. All right, Don, he's still successful, right? He has his own farm, own potato farm. He's making money. He knows what he's doing. Joe, trying to start out, trying to be a potato farmer, goes and buys all the stuff, puts all the seeds in the ground, you know, does everything he needs to do to be able to get a potato farm going. But what happens? Over the course of 2 months, let's say, probably takes longer than that, but use that as an example. Over the case 2 months, nothing grows. Nothing grows for Joe. So what happens here? He just spent $4,000 on materials, and guess what? Wasted. It's worth nothing. Okay? It's worth absolutely nothing. He spent $4,000 on all this material, put it in the ground, but nothing grows. Because why? Because Joe has no idea how to grow a goddamn potato, because he didn't learn from anybody. It's very simple here. Okay? Don already knows how to do it. He was going to charge Joe, what, $3,000 to teach him how to do it. He said, no, that's too much money. But went and spent $4,000 on all the materials to get absolutely nothing, and actually lost $4,000. So now Joe is minus $4,000, and guess what? He has no clue how to grow anything. Okay? He's stuck in the same spot. Now he's down $4,000. What would have happened if Joe took Don up on that offer and said, listen, I'll give you the $3,000, you teach me how to do that? Let me show you what happens when Joe actually takes Don up on that offer. All right, back at it. Joe, Don, what happens here? Joe charges $3,000 to learn exactly how to be a potato farmer. Joe decides, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take the $3K loss. All right, I'm gonna take the $3K loss, and I'm gonna learn how to do this the correct way. So Joe's down $3,000 right off the bat because he paid Don now to learn. But now what happens here? He gets all the knowledge, right? All the knowledge that Don has about the potato business, how to grow potatoes, how to sell them, how to do everything. What does he do? He applies that knowledge now to his own farm. So what does he do? He goes and takes, let's say, you know, he already would have blown before 4,000, so let's say 1,000. He goes and takes $1,000 now and buys seeds and the miscellaneous material. Okay? He goes and buys that stuff. Now what happens here? He's learned how to do everything. Now, after month 2, what happens here? The potatoes grow. What can he do? Now he's going to sell his potatoes. Right? And now, after month 2, he sells his potatoes, and let's say he recoups $5,000 back. What happened here? All because of the decision Joe made to have somebody that already did it, somebody that already knows how to do it, teach him how to do it. and skip that whole entire process. What happened here? Yeah, he paid him, which seemed like a lot of money in the beginning, but doesn't seem like it now, because now he has all the knowledge of how to grow potatoes and be a potato farmer. And guess what? Now he is positive $1,000 in his second month. Now he has all that knowledge. So now he can go and build as many potato farms as he wants, sell as many potatoes as he wants, and just keep stacking cash, right? Just keep stacking his money. All because he made that one decision to go with Don and not be a complete idiot and think that he could do it on his own like a lot of people would go and do. So what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is pretty simple. Don't be a fucking idiot, all right? Most people think that they could do shit on their own, but they can't. You literally need to go and find somebody that knows exactly how to do it, and you just copy what they're doing. It's that simple. Yeah, maybe they, have to charge you, because people don't work for free. Get that through your head too. People will not work for free. Everybody deserves to be paid for something that they're doing. But if you go and learn how to do something the correct way, and you pay and you invest in that knowledge, you can run that knowledge back and make more money, obviously, than the investment took in the first place, just to gain that correct knowledge. Same thing goes with schooling. You pay to go to college, you pay what? Some colleges you pay over $100,000 to go for 4 years to college. Well, you spend $100,000, but then let's say you become a doctor, whatnot. You get out of that school and you become a doctor, and what happens? You make $250,000, $300,000 a year, and you recoup all that money. So that is what happens, and that's what separates smart people from idiots. Okay? Idiots think they could do it all on their own and have no money. But what happens? They keep going in the same circle over and over and over. It becomes unsuccessful, let me try again. Unsuccessful, let me try again. Unsuccessful, let me try again. And they just keep spending more money, and they get absolutely nowhere, and they're stuck right here. Somebody that invests into somebody that actually knows what they're talking about and follows exactly what they say, they start rising up, while the other one sticks here and still has spent, if not the same, more money than this person up here. So understand that, guys. This is the most important thing when it comes to sports betting, is your emotions and understanding what it takes to be successful. Don't go out there and try to search on your own when you don't need to, okay? You guys watch my channel. Why? Because I did it. I already teach you guys exactly what to do day in and day out on these videos. So if you follow the correct stuff that I tell you, I'm the only one out there. Everybody else, a complete bunch of idiots. I'm just going to be honest with you. And they're becoming more and more and more as sports betting becomes more popular. But if you want to exactly know what it takes to be successful, and don't be a Joe that's going to do what? Not know exactly what's going on and keep feeding money into something that they know exactly what not to do. Okay? Make sure you guys go down below, click the link in the description. It's that simple. That's what's separating you from your successes of being a successful sports bettor. And remember, when you have an edge, then every bet becomes a winning opportunity. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.